What happens when one of Australia's most admired young conservationists walks onto a bright, cheerful morning talk show and suddenly finds himself in the middle of an unexpected confrontation? This wasn't just another routine celebrity interview. It became one of those live TV moments where the atmosphere changes in seconds, where smiles tighten, voices sharpen, and everyone watching can feel that something just shifted. Before we dive in, think about this. Should talk show hosts challenge their guests at all costs, or is there a responsibility to be fair and informed? Keep that question in mind as this story unfolds. At just 20 years old, Robert Irwin, son of the legendary Steve Irwin, arrived on The View full of enthusiasm. He was there to promote his latest wildlife docuseries and talk about the conservation work he's been dedicating his life to. In the days leading up to this appearance, he'd been moving from interview to interview, winning people over with his sincerity, humility, and clear passion for protecting wildlife. Every other stop had gone smoothly. Warm welcomes, respectful questions, meaningful conversations. But this time, the tone felt different from the start. Joy Behar introduced him with a noticeably sharper edge. After a brief setup, she leaned forward and asked the question that would instantly freeze the room. Was he simply coasting on his father's legacy? What had he truly accomplished on his own? The energy in the studio changed. Robert's smile flickered for a split second. Then he steadied himself. Calmly, he explained that conservation had been part of his life since childhood. He spoke about rescuing thousands of animals, working with endangered species programs, and committing himself fully to wildlife protection. His tone remained measured and respectful. But the questioning didn't ease up. Joy pressed further, suggesting that continuing his father's mission wasn't enough. Where was his own identity? Was he just repeating the past, dressing the same, acting the same, staying safely within the shadow of a global icon? You could sense the tension building. Other panelists appeared uneasy. Still, Robert remained composed. He explained that conservation isn't about ego. It isn't about personal branding. It's about the mission. Whether expanding existing programs or launching new initiatives, the goal remains the same: protecting wildlife and ecosystems. Then came the remark that changed everything. He was told it was time to grow up instead of playing with animals. That was the turning point. Robert's expression shifted. The polite TV smile faded, replaced by controlled intensity. He repeated the phrase back, playing with animals, and asked if she truly understood what his work involved. Then he laid it out clearly. He described rescuing a koala and her joey during devastating bushfires. He spoke about breeding programs that reintroduced echidnas into regions where they had long disappeared. He talked about relocating venomous snakes to protect families and helping operate a wildlife hospital that has treated more than 100,000 injured animals. This wasn't a hobby. It wasn't dress-up. It was conservation at the front lines. Even when interruptions came, he didn't lose composure. His voice stayed steady, firm, and purposeful. The conversation had shifted from defending a name to defending a cause. Carrying a famous surname brings immense expectations. Comparisons are inevitable. But Robert made it clear that his work isn't about stepping out of a shadow. It's about continuing a mission that matters. Live television often thrives on tension. Tough questions are part of the format, but there's a difference between scrutiny and dismissal. In that moment, what stood out wasn't anger. It wasn't retaliation. It was composure under pressure. And sometimes that says more than any headline ever could. So now it's your turn. Was this fair questioning, or did it cross the line? This wasn't a hobby. It wasn't a costume. And it certainly wasn't a game. It was responsibility. The studio fell into a heavy silence, the kind where you can almost hear people holding their breath. But instead of recognizing the shift, Joy Behar pressed even harder. She brushed off his conviction as pure emotion. Facts matter, she insisted. Then she doubled down. His fame, she claimed, existed only because of his last name. Without it, he'd just be another kid pretending to be a zookeeper. Maybe, she suggested, it was time to find a real job. And that's when everything changed. Robert went completely still. You know that posture. The pause right before someone either walks away or draws a line in the sand. A real job, he repeated quietly, so softly it almost slipped past the microphones. Then he looked directly at her. Do you know what my father was doing the day he died? The shift was instant. Joy hadn't expected that turn. No one had. The entire studio leaned forward. He was filming a documentary about stingrays, Robert continued, his voice steadier now, stronger. Not for fame, not for money, but to help people understand animals the world had misunderstood for generations. You could see it register. He died doing what he loved, educating the public and protecting creatures that don't have a voice. Then Robert went further. "You want to talk about real careers?" he said. "My dad could have made millions turning Australia Zoo into a theme park. He could have chased easy ratings and quick money. Instead, he chose conservation, education, and I'm proud to continue that work." For the first time, Joy looked unsettled. Robert leaned in. "Every single day, I work to honor that legacy. Not because I'm riding coattails, but because the work matters. Species are disappearing while we sit here debating. Animals are dying while you make jokes about khakis." The tension was palpable. Whoopi Goldberg attempted to ease the room, but the moment had already taken on a life of its own. Robert wasn't finished. "Let's talk about your comments," he said calmly, almost surgically precise. "You didn't ask questions. You attacked my character. You dismissed my work. You mocked conservation." Then came the question that froze the air. "Would you say the same things to David Attenborough? To Jane Goodall?" Joy opened her mouth. No words came. "And here's what really gets me," Robert continued. "You're criticizing someone who spends his life saving animals, while you sit on television giving opinions. You want to talk about impact? How many species have you helped preserve?" The audience gasped. Flustered, Joy attempted one last remark. "Maybe you just needed someone to tell you the truth. Not everyone thinks you're special because of your name." That was it. Robert stood up instantly. "Special because of my name?" he repeated, his voice calm but ice cold. "Do you have any idea what that name actually means?" He stood tall, unshakable. "It means waking up before sunrise to care for animals. It means learning crocodile behavior as a child. It means carrying a world-changing responsibility on your shoulders." Joy tried to regain control. "Robert, sit down." "I'm not sitting down," he replied firmly. "You ambushed me. You belittled my work. You insulted my father, and now you're asking for respect?" Off camera, security shifted uneasily. "You want respect? Do your research. Ask better questions. Learn the difference between entertainment and meaningful work." He unclipped his microphone. "I came here to talk about endangered species and conservation. Instead, you turned this into a personal attack for ratings. So thank you for reminding me why I do this work, why my father did this work, and why conservation matters more than anything happening at this table." He placed the microphone down. Then he looked straight into the camera. "If you actually care about wildlife, look up the work we're doing at Australia Zoo, because unlike some people, we're trying to make the world better." And with that, Robert Irwin walked off the set. Joy Behar sat frozen. The panel was silent. The audience didn't move. Millions watching at home struggled to process what they had just witnessed. The camera lingered long enough for the shock to fully sink in. Then, abruptly, the show cut to commercial. That day, Robert didn't just defend himself. He defended conservation. He defended his father. And he defended every creature that cannot speak for itself. Now I want to hear from you. Was Robert justified? Did the questioning cross the line? Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more unforgettable, unfiltered television moments that leave everyone talking.